Blessed be, and welcome to a special Solstice edition of Spirit of the Age. If you happen to see a previous installment, I mentioned I was going to try and do something special for the longest night, and this is what I'm doing. I have been known to lead the occasional guided meditation for a group of friends here in town, and I thought I would try recording one and putting it up online. So that means that this is a little different for a video blog. There's really not anything to watch, not like much of anything to watch anyways, but this time it's entirely about your ears. So I suggest that you make yourself comfortable. And I'm going to ask that you begin by closing your eyes, to take a few deep breaths and relax. I want you to open your awareness out to the earth beneath you and the sky above, to wind passing through the trees. Perhaps there are wind chimes nearby, tinkling like icicles. You may hear other things as well. Sound of the world out there, traffic or people talking. But let these drift away, because for a time we are stepping outside and away from our everyday world. And as you continue to relax, I want you to locate anything inside of you that might be distracting, anything from the everyday world that might crop up as a worry or concern. And yes, I realize there's quite a lot in that category right now. We aren't going to try to banish them, but we are going to put them aside for a while. So in your mind, I'd like you to create a box or a trunk, something solid with a lid on it. Put any troubles you might have into that box. If you need to make the box bigger to hold them, go ahead. Or shrink the troubles down. But close the lid. Lock it with a key if you like. Unfortunately, they'll still be there when we're done, but for right now, they're put away. And you may find yourself breathing a little easier, a little slower and deeper. And as you breathe in, you can feel the energy of the crisp, cold air outside and the warm glow of any of us who are gathered here together. You feel that energy entering in. And as it flows into you, feel it pushing down, out through your arms and legs, down your spinal column, and sinking into the earth. Here in the northern hemisphere, Mother Earth is cold and dark beneath us, sinking into a deep winter's sleep. Despite this, our energies move down as if we are putting down roots, sinking them into the soil, and our roots begin to open out beneath us, stretching and expanding underground. And as they grow, you may feel your roots brush up against those of a person beside you, to your left or to your right. Think of all of our roots entwining, as you might entwine your fingers when holding someone's hand. And from this circle, this rootedness that connects us to the earth and to each other, we begin to draw another energy. This moves upward as a plant draws in water, into your roots, into your spine, into every part of you that's connected to the ground right now. And as this energy continues to flow through you, you can feel it moving past your stomach, surrounding your heart, into your throat, up, behind the space just above and between your eyes, finally emerging from the top of your head. But it doesn't stop, it keeps moving, opening up and out like a flower opening to the sun. And just as our roots spread and connected below us, so too can we open and connect above, forming not just a circle, but a sphere that surrounds us and holds us in a circle of trust, as a mother holds her child. As the lower part of this sphere is in the darkness beneath the earth, so the upper is shining with the light of spirit, the light shining onto us from Father Sky. Breathe now, gently and deeply, and with each breath become aware of the light that surrounds you, the light that is the love light of our great Mother Earth. See this light now in your mind's eye. This light is all around us. We are bathed in its brightness, energy, and warmth. The light, this healing energy, is both inside and outside of you. In fact, this light is always around us, always with us. But as we go through our day-to-day lives, we forget it's there and forget to see it, to feel it. By forming this circle, we are in a sense putting mirrors around us to focus and direct the light and remind ourselves that it is there. Now that you have become comfortable and relaxed, turn your sight within and open your mind's eye. Slowly, we realize that we are standing together in an open field not far from here. We are all dressed for the weather in heavy coats, lined boots, fleecy scarves, mittens, and hats. It's been gray all day, so the coming darkness is imperceptible to us. We can see, but there's little sense of the light here. Not far off is the edge of a small wood. The trees there are mostly bare. What leaves do still cling are brown and shriveled. The wind moves lightly through this wood, shaking them a little, the trees sighing too as they settle to sleep. Yet not all sleeps in this woods, not yet. When the breeze drops, we hear, do we, at first? Then yes, the voice of a bird, something small it seems. As we listen, its song becomes more distinct, as if it were coming towards us. Turning our faces to the trees, we watch as intently as we listen, and soon are rewarded. Here comes a little brown wren, fluttering from branch to branch, making its way to the very edge of the tree line. Once there, and clearly centered in our view, it stops, cocks its head to one side, looking at us with tiny black button eyes, before bursting once more into song. When it has finished singing, it looks at us once again before turning and flitting back into the woods. A few yards in, just at the edge of visibility, it stops, hops on the branch so it faces us, and sings once more before heading deeper into the trees. What clearer invitation could we wish? We shrug and head into the woods behind it. The leaves are piled in drifts among the tree roots, and they're mostly brown, but still with a few faded reds and yellows amongst them, and our steps crackle a bit until we notice an area a little ways over where the bare ground peeps through now and again. Deciding we'll be better able to hear the little wren if we aren't crunching our way along, we walk as gently as possible over to it. As soon as we're there, we stop and are rewarded with a bit of song from just ahead of us. Proceeding in this fashion, we head down what might be a deer trail through the woods, stopping now and then to listen for our guide. Although their branches are bare, the trees screen out enough of the sky that it is noticeably darker now, yet we seem to be able to find our way easily enough. In fact, we are able to glimpse the little wren as it bobs into sight just down the way. It too seems to be following the trail. Perhaps because of the growing darkness, we don't really notice as the winter chill seems to take a deeper hold of the land we are traveling through. But as we move forward, there are fewer and fewer leaves clinging to the branches, and those underfoot have lost all traces of color. The next time we stop to locate our guide, We can see our breath puffing in the crisp evening air. This time, when we spot our tiny guide, we realize we've come to the other side of this wood and make our way out to the far edge. Here, the bare grass is tinged in the hollows and low places by frost, and the sky above us has gone a deep shade of blue. For yes, the clouds have grown thin and scattered, and though there is yet no moon, we can pick out a few bright early stars glittering above. We've entered a small meadow hidden here in the woods. We see the trees stretch away on either side, curving off into an invisible dimness. But we understand somehow that they encircle this open space, keeping it safe from the world outside. We look again for the wren that has led us here, and see that it is perched on a large stone set a short distance away, its little eye fixed on us, though no song comes from its small beak. Still, we walk slowly and gently towards it, not meaning to frighten, but understanding this is where it's been guiding us. And as we get closer to the stone, we realize, how did we not notice this before? It's but one of several. They are oddly shaped, not seeming worked by hand nor chisel, yet neither do they seem formed or placed at random. Their positions suggest movement, as if it is only our presence that fixes them in their awkward shapes. The frost has touched them too, and though there are yet but few stars above, they glisten faintly in the little light they shed. Our wren hops impatiently from one to another, flitting a bit further, then coming back, and there seems no question but that we are to step inside. Up close, we find this is not as easily done as it would seem. The ground here is rougher and broken up. There are unexpected pits at one side, a snare of frozen brambles at another. But at last we find a spot that leads us between two of the stones, and one by one we enter. Once inside, we turn and look around, amazed. A moment before, we had been in a meadow, clear but for the ring of strangely stilled stones. But now we are in a vast, snow-covered space. Here, snow has drifted in such a way it seems a shame to trample these pristine drifts. But to our left is a break, another path of sorts. If we had any doubts as to whether to follow, we hear the distant song of the wren, so yes, we proceed. The snow grows deeper as we work our way along the winding trail, yet when we look up, we see only stars in the depth of the winter sky. We feel no wind, but the drifts seem subtly to move ahead of us, changing and arranging themselves into patterns we feel we could almost grasp. One or two among us might try and stop to puzzle it out, but there is a wind then at our backs, pushing us along the route that creates itself as we go. We have turned and swirled and turned again, yet the stars overhead never seem to change, so that we have no orientation but onward. With another turn, the snow begins to drift beneath our feet and piles higher to either side. Soon we are moving one at a time down a narrow, curving corridor between sparkling blue-white walls. The open space we had entered, now eclipsed by this wintry world. At last, the drifts recede, spilling us out into an open central space. We look around, seeing the snow has now piled incredibly high, creating huge castle-like walls on every side. There is still a glimpse of nighttime sky above, but it seems impossibly far, with stalagmites of ice jutting out of the frozen walls as if holding it high above our heads. Though we are entranced by the sparkling beauty all around, we soon realize our wren has fallen silent and look to see where it has gone. To our amazement, we see the wren has led us into a reception chamber, a palace of ice lit by the eerie colors of the northern lights. And at the very center, there is an opalescent pool surrounded by cold blue flames that jet from unmelting blocks of ice. And beyond that sits a woman, tall and regal, resplendent in white furs. Her hair is as pale as her sables, her eyes the same electric blue of the pool, but with a deep glimmer of understanding and compassion. Her hands are encased in fine white gloves. Her white velvet dress flows to the ground. On her brow is a diadem, a shining silver crown of radiance that sparkles with the light of 100 tiny rainbows. When she speaks, it is as if she speaks to you and you alone. Her voice is low and melodious. Something about it makes you think of a carillon of bells. She gestures for you to step forward, and you see that our friend the wren is now perched on her shoulder. She reaches up and gently strokes it as she addresses you. Greetings, my dear one. I see you have found your way to me on this, the darkest night of the year. Did my little messenger help to guide your way through? She smiles and strokes the wren before continuing. This crystalline palace is my home, the still central point around which years and stars alike revolve. Here, all is ceaseless and unchanging, an eternity of possibility, the darkness from which all that you know has arisen, and to which all shall, in its time, pass away and return. Here with me you may rest, for all your burdens shall also pass in their time. She pauses and regards you with her deep, lustrous eyes. But while I am here eternal, you still are of mortal flesh and cannot remain for long. Soon the gate will open to return you to your world. But before you do, however, you may gaze a moment into my mirror, there to see the paths that lay ahead of you, so you may choose which route you will walk in the year ahead. So saying, she gestures to the pool in front of her. Do not be afraid. No harm can come to you here, under my protection. And with a wave of her hand, the blue flames around the edge subside, remaining highest in front of her, growing gradually lower on either side, and diminishing completely right in front of where you stand. Step forward, take a moment, and gaze within. Knowing that you can trust her completely, you do so, moving to the very edge of the pool to look within. At first, the surface is opaque, but as you gaze into it, your eyes adjust and the surface becomes transparent. Within, you may find images, figures, or scenes, some expected, some unknown to you. Take some time now to look deep within the Snow Queen's mirror and see what you may find. Although there is no time here at the center of all that is, sooner than you may think or wish, a mist begins to rise up, obscuring the contents of the pool from view. When you look up, you find that all around you is now utter darkness. No ice, no snow, no bird nor wintry queen. And yet her voice still echoes to you, coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. Set sail, for you are free over the dark of the sunless sea. Set sail, set forth, but do not wait. Pass in an instant through the gate. You glance back down and find the pool before you, its blue turned to an inky purple and then midnight black. Without thinking or willing to do so, you take a step and find yourself neither falling nor flying, but floating gently down, around, and somehow forward until you come gently to rest on new fallen snow. You blink, stand up, dust yourself off. The snowflakes are twirling lazily down from the sky, and you see they have settled on your coat, your scarves and mittens. And as you look about, you see the rest of the group, similarly dusted with fresh, sparkling snow. Still in the center of the meadow the wren has led us to, but now there are no stones, no circle. The wind picks up a moment, causing little swirls of snow to spring up just in the place the stones had been before. And as we watch, we see them shimmer and shake as if they too were waking from a long winter's sleep. For a brief instant, we seem to see forms, lithe dancers made from snow, but the wind subsides and they are gone. Looking up, we see the sky overhead is now completely dark and clear, with more stars than we ever saw before, scattered across it. In the very center, just above where we stand, we can recognize the faint outline of a new dark moon, perhaps with a slight corona of ice crystals forming a halo around it. We are suddenly quite aware that it is late and cold, and snow is falling all around. We turn and make our way back to the wood, finding the deer trail that we followed now outlined by sparkling rivulets of new snow. Though we no longer have the sound of the wren to guide us, we are able to make our way back, winding through and around until we are out the other side and standing once more in a familiar open field. As we listen, we begin to hear the familiar hum of the city around us and see the welcoming windows of a favorite haunt not far away. Gratefully, we begin our trek back to the world we know. And just as we return from our journey through the wintry woods, so too, now it is time to return to waking life. As thoughts of that float into our heads, we remember the mirror pool and the visions we saw within. We know too the things we saw in Snow Queen's mirror were each slightly different, yet no less valid views of existence and the light of all that is. We remember that we have roots extending into the earth beneath and entwining branches above. Take a breath once you are back and feel the pulse of all that is around you. There is a shared energy amongst us, shared across time and space and eternal, from my heart to yours, to the hearts of each of you who may watch this and share. And I want you to send this energy out. Remember, our circle may be open, but it's never broken. So marry me, marry part, and marry meet again. And I thank you for joining me on this journey with Spirit of the Age. And maybe next time we'll talk a little more about the things that might have been seen in the mirror. But thank you for joining me. Merry Solstice to you all, and to all a good night, and whatever holiday you celebrate, have a good one. Be excellent to each other. Bye-bye.